lot of the, kind of woke dietitians are saying that jelly donuts that's just as good a food as any other food. There's no such thing as bad food. Stop demonizing food. Jelly donuts, unless they're spoiled, that's just as good of a food option as broccoli and ribeye. No, that's not true at all. What the hell's wrong with you? Why are you saying that on social media? You're literally harming people's health saying that.
Don't be a donut.
I think everybody can agree, yeah, let's get rid of the ultra-processed carbohydrates that have added sugar and that are made with vegetable seed oils. Let's do that for a month, okay? So now all the breakfast cereals are gone. What are you left with? Well, I guess you could say, well, I don't want to eat bacon and eggs. That still scares me. But maybe I'll have some salmon and some broccoli for breakfast. Great, do it. That's less bad, okay? So then as you're getting rid of the sugar and the grains and the beans and the vegetable seed oils, you're going to be naturally eating more meat. Maybe it's really lean, boneless, skinless chicken breast initially. And maybe the only fats you're comfortable eating are olive oil and avocado and coconut oil. That's fine with me. That's fine. That you are improving your health. You are getting less unhealthy by making those small steps. At some point, you're going to start to feel better. And you're going to say, I think I'm going to go for a walk. I think I'm going to lift some weights. I'm going to try to be more active, because most people are so inflamed by their ultra-processed standard Western diet. They don't feel like walking to the bathroom, much less going for a walk in nature. You might take your shirt off and get some sun. But as you go down that road, your body's going to be giving you feedback. Hey, when I got rid of the sugar and the grains and the vegetable seed oils, I feel better now, not only physically, but mentally, I feel better. Maybe I shouldn't be so afraid. Maybe I'm going to add just a little bit of red meat, just a palm-sized portion, just a little. And lo and behold, after a few weeks of that, you feel even better. You're less inflamed. You're less depressed. You have more energy. You're sleeping better. And so I think so many people are so brainwashed by the mainstream narrative that it's terrifying for them to go straight to a carnivore diet, or it's morally repugnant for them to go straight to a red meat carnivore diet, because they've been so propagandized by the plant-based narrative that it's immoral, it's unethical, it's evil to eat mammals. Even though humans have done it for millions of years, and that was our preferred diet. Now somehow in modern society it's evil, even though that diet is literally the reason we're all sitting here watching a video on the internet. That diet is the reason that we have this brain and that we have the social interactions that we can actually pass on lessons learned. We've been so propagandized, so deluded, so misled that our ancestral diet sounds evil, sounds gross. How can you stand the feeling of that flesh, that dead, rotting, murdered flesh in your mouth, right? And I understand there are some people that eating mammals, that's just too close to home. It just doesn't feel right, and that's why I'm like, hey, you can improve your health eating an ovo-lacto-pescatarian diet. You don't have to eat mammals initially, but I think ultimately you'll return to that, because as your health improves, your physical and mental health, you're going to be like, wow. Because what happens is when people start to eat a more ancestral diet, they start to naturally become interested in history and in human evolution and anthropology and nutrition. And they start to kind of read and research, and they'll keep running across, oh my God, here's another culture that lives on red meat and blood. Here's another culture that lives on just nothing but fish and walrus and whale. That's all they ate every day of their life. And were these people evil? Were these people repugnant? Or were they just people like me and you and everybody else who had discovered this is the proper human diet for us? And so I'm a big fan of doing this stepwise. I don't think everybody needs to go carnivore overnight. And indeed, for many people, this is a learning process. This is a growth process. This is a a deprogramming. That's literally what we're having to do for many, many people is deprogram their brains to stop believing things that are just demonstrably not true. And then and only then can they comfortably and ethically return to a proper human diet.
Say a couple now have gone carnivore. They've reaped the benefits and the lady falls pregnant. Can you still eat this way? And what about young children?
Yeah. So let's do my mental thought experiment that I always do. My wife's so tired of hearing this, but I think it really clears it up for many people. Let's jump in our time machine and go back in time 50,000 years. Your ancestors, your grandmother and grandfather, 200 generations removed, 50,000 years ago. When she was pregnant, what did she eat? Meat. When she had the baby and she was breastfeeding, what did she eat? Meat. This shouldn't even be a question that adult humans say, yeah, but what about young kids? What the hell do you mean, what about young kids? Are they a different species? Are they not Homo sapiens sapien? They're not even thinking through these basic concepts because they've been so brainwashed for so many generations that sounds like a rational question to ask. Well, what about my toddlers? Certainly they shouldn't just eat meat, eggs, and seafood. Well, why the hell would you think they shouldn't? What are you talking about? And I'm not trying to berate young parents. I'm just saying people will ask these questions in all seriousness and with an earnest heart. And you have people like I have to hold my tongue and I have to hold my emotions and realize when I was a young parent with my oldest son, I fed him the same crap as these people are feeding their baby now because I didn't know better back then. And I have to go back and think, what was my learning curve? What was my thought process to get from anything with that little Gerber baby on it? That's what you feed babies. How did I go from believing that with my whole heart, loving this little boy more than anything in the world, and fed him that shit? How did I evolve to where now Beckett and Bonnie meat's the first food they eat every day? If they want some blueberries or strawberries later, that's fine, but you're going to eat your meat first. You're going to eat your eggs first. Otherwise, there'll be no food until you get hungry enough to eat proper human food first. And so I have to then try to apply that stepwise thought process to bring these young parents to a place of common sense and rationality.
So is it fair to say you're not even a tiny bit vegan curious?
Not even a tiny bit vegan curious. No. I don't blame people who are vegan curious. I don't hold it against them. I don't judge them for that. I have often said that going vegan is the first step towards ultimately being a carnivore because at least you're thinking about your food, right? Most people eat thoughtlessly. They don't even think. They just hand to mouth, just whatever's in there, I'm going to eat. But at least somebody who goes vegan, they've made a decision about food and they've thought about food. Now, I don't agree with anything that they currently believe, but I love it that they're actually making a choice about food, a conscious choice in the front of their brain. They're thinking, I will not eat that and I will eat only this because I've thought about it and I've made a decision. That's the first step towards becoming a carnivore.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, I'm not much of a plugger. I've got a YouTube channel. When I'm feeling snarky, you'll find me on Twitter. When I'm feeling loving and supportive, you'll find me on Facebook and Instagram. I'm even on TikTok. I'm out there constantly trying to reach people and plant a seed and say, hey, are you sure plant-based is the right diet for you? I think when people are ready, they just naturally start to search and investigate. And I'm happy for them to find me when they're ready to hear the truth.
Don't be a donut. Eat meat.